Alright, Natasha Denona, I got a bone to pick with you, lady. This is my son. I was not doing well when I bought this palette. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. That was super sweet of you. And welcome to the first video I'm filming since hitting 3,000 subscribers. Yes, 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 yes. I'm just reenacting for you what I did when I found out that I hit 3,000 subscribers. Oh my gosh, I am so freaking excited. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel. That was super sweet of you. Oh my gosh, I'm flustered. I'm so excited, but thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I wanted Bert to be here for the occasion. I was gonna bring him in. I even have some of his treats in the room, but he's sleeping. So please enjoy this footage of Bert being the sweetest man on earth as a bit of a thank you from me to you. I hope this will suffice for now. I'll try to think of more ways that I can thank you. Actually, I have an idea. I think I want to do a video reacting to my first video because it's been almost 3 years. It's actually coming up on my 3-year YouTube anniversary, and boy oh boy have I changed a lot since 2018. So let me know if you'd be interested in something like that. I love watching videos of people reacting to their first videos. Oh my gosh, it's so fun to watch people change and grow. So yeah, let me know if you want to see that. But that's not what this video is about. You did not click on this video to get thanked by me for subscribing to my channel. Too bad. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. No, you clicked on this video because you, like me, have an interest in a bunch of makeup that I'm decluttering. A big makeup declutter. Although, you know what? I always hesitate to say big because whenever you say big makeup declutter, there's always someone that's like, that's not that big. So, you know what? Whatever. It's big for me. I don't do makeup declutters how other YouTubers do. Oh my gosh, such an I'm not like other girls statement. I'm sorry, but I don't go through like my whole makeup collection and declutter. I used to, honestly, too overwhelming, couldn't handle it. Now what I do is I just put makeup aside every time I feel like I'm getting bored of it or I haven't used it in a really long time, and I keep it in a pile and I see if I miss it at all, and if I don't, then I get rid of it. So here is my pile of makeup that has been sitting in a pile for months and months and months, and I'm finally ready to get rid of it. But before I do, I want to tell you why I'm getting rid of it. So if that sounds like a topic that is interesting to you and you want to see all of the makeup that I'm decluttering from my collection, then I encourage you to please subscribe and keep on watching. It's coming at you right now. Alright, so if you couldn't tell, it's mostly eyeshadow palettes over here. That's definitely the makeup that I come into the most and buy the most, so I have a lot to get rid of. So the first eyeshadow palette that I'm getting rid of, oops, the sun is moving. Oh no, my shoulder's in the sun. Please ignore that. But the first eyeshadow palette that I'm going to be decluttering today is my Colourpop So Jaded palette. So I bought this right when it came out. It came out right around my birthday in 2019. Oh boy, that was quite a time. Oh my gosh, it's so funny to think about what place you are in your life when you bought certain makeup items, and I was not doing well when I bought this palette, but I did really enjoy this palette. It was actually the first like really colorful palette that I had ever bought. I had had neutral palettes with pops of color before, but this was my first like colorful palette, so for that I am grateful. I'll never forget you. Oh, she's dusty. I should not be kissing her, my gosh. But so I'm grateful for the good times that we had together. But ultimately, I'm decluttering this palette just because I have found dupes for all of these shades that just work so much better that there's really no need for me to reach for this anymore. I find that Colourpop's matte formula, at least in this palette, granted I haven't tried Colourpop's matte formula in a couple of years. This is actually the last palette I bought from Colourpop. But from my experience with their matte formula, I don't like it very much. It's not my favorite. It's a little too tough to blend for me. I'm not the best blender, and their shimmers are just not the most impactful shimmers compared to my other indie makeup shadows that I have, and the pressed glitters I could just totally do without. They're too scratchy. I don't want them. So the only thing I'm possibly thinking of depotting is this shade Diamond because it's, oops, in the sun. Oh no, you can't see it, but Diamond is like super, super sparkly. It's one of their super shock shadows. I really like this shade. I haven't used it in a long time because it's been sitting in my declutter palette, but I do really like this shade. So I might depot this shade, maybe a couple others, I don't know. Honestly, like I said, most of them I have dupes for, so I don't even really feel the need to depot that much, but for the most part, I'm gonna be decluttering the So Jaded palette. And don't worry, every time I declutter makeup, I always make sure to offer it to friends and family first, so I'm not being wasteful. So when I say declutter, I mean I'm not throwing it in the garbage today, but just wanted to give that disclaimer that like I always make sure to offer my makeup to friends and family before I get rid of it. So say goodbye to the Colourpop So Jaded palette because she is getting decluttered decluttered from my collection. Alright, I'm gonna go through this next one real quick. This is a palette that Deck of Scarlet sent to me. They do this monthly subscription box where they send you a palette that has like a couple of face shades that they don't really call face shades, I think because they don't want to be held accountable for not having an inclusive bronzer range, but I don't know, that's all just me making assumptions. But they have a couple of face-ish shades, a couple of eyeshadow shades, and then they give you a couple of lip shades, and it's a cute concept, but I don't reach for it literally ever, and I can dupe all of these colors myself. This could be really good for, you know, the makeup consumer who likes to have their all-in-one sort of a thing. I know I recently criticized the new Anastasia Beverly Hills palette for trying to be like an eye and face palette and how I don't really feel like that's a thing people want anymore, but I also recognize that I am not the average makeup consumer. I am a makeup fiend. I am too up to date on all of the makeup things, and I am very much always looking for the next big thing. So for me, it's not something I'm into, but it could be good for somebody else. So I don't know, probably see if my mom wants this. She could get a lot of good use out of this, but for me, I never reach for it, and therefore it's getting decluttered. Alright, this next palette is kind of sad to declutter because I have a lot of good memories attached to this palette, and I was really excited when I first got this palette. It's the Jackie Aina collab with Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this packaging is absolutely beautiful. I wish I could have this packaging in like a handbag or something. Like, it's so pretty. Jackie does the best packaging. Even on her Forever Mood candles, the packaging is just top notch. All the chefs are kissing. Like, it's so good. She did such a good job on this palette. Let me show you the inside in case you haven't seen it before. I think Jackie picked a beautiful color scheme. She did such a good job. I'm so happy for her. But just, you know, like I said with the Colourpop palette, I can just dupe out every shade in this palette at this point with better formulas, so I don't feel the need to hang on to it anymore. And I do find some of these mattes to be really hard to blend. This purple matte in particular never blended well for me. It was kind of like hard as soon as I got it, so I just didn't have the easiest time with all these shades. Ugh, I might depot Soleil though, because Soleil is like the most beautiful shimmer in the world. Oh my gosh, I need them to make a highlighter of this. Look at this. It's like the perfect rose gold. Oh, it's so pretty. Not that I ever wear shades like that, but it is really pretty. I just have a lot of emotional attachment to this palette because when I bought this palette, I was watching Jackie Aina videos like all the time, and I still love Jackie Aina so much, so I was really happy for her in this collab, and I felt like she brought something so different to ABH, you know? Especially nowadays, how boring ABH's palette releases have been. Bring back something exciting like this. Bring back Jackie. I feel like they need to ask Jackie to make another palette because she just comes up with such creative color stories, and we haven't seen anything this exciting from them in a really long time. So I miss this era of ABH. I don't miss them coming out with new palettes every other week, but I do miss this beautiful, colorful era of ABH. So this is, you know, it's a little bittersweet getting rid of this, but ultimately I'm gonna declutter the Jackie Aina ABH palette because I just don't use it. Alright, taking a brief break from eyeshadow palettes, let's take a little eyeshadow palette break real quick and talk about a highlighter that I'm decluttering, and it is the Pixi Glowy Gossamer Duo in Delicate Dew. So I got this at TJ Maxx a year ago, and I got it for $6, which is an incredible deal because this was normally $18, which Pixi, it's too much. It's a bit too much for me. And this formula is nuts. It's so good. The only reason I'm getting rid of this is because at the time I did not understand that using a highlighter that's too dark for you does not look good and is not workable at all. I really thought that I could make these two shades work. Like, do you see my skin? Do you see how pale I am? It just simply doesn't work. Every time I wear these, my skin has the most beautiful glow, but as you can see, they're just too deep on me. Oh, and it's so sad. I'm definitely gonna try to find someone who can use these because it's still perfectly good and it's such a good highlighter formula. If you haven't tried the Pixi highlighter formula, you totally should. I'm like mesmerized by my hand right now. I'm so sad that I can't use this. Not even in the summertime, not even with a little tan. It just doesn't work for me. Also, the purple shade, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like even if this is light enough for me, it just doesn't look good on me. So let me know if you know of Pixi having any shades that are lighter than this. I feel like I haven't seen any lighter than this. I feel like I've seen them in different tones, like they have like a pinkier one, but also I might just not have been paying attention. So definitely let me know if you've seen any shades lighter than this because this formula is so good, but because of the shades, I am decluttering my Pixi highlighter duo. All right, now back to eyeshadows. We still got a couple eyeshadow palettes to go through. So the next eyeshadow palette I'm decluttering is the the Lady Boss palette from shop Amorus Beauty. Is that how you say it? Amorus, I'm not really sure. I got this in an indie makeup subscription box at the beginning of the year, my cheeky beauty box, and I really did enjoy it at the time. I'm gonna have to be careful because I have a shade that's broken in here, but there's nothing inherently wrong with this palette. I do like the formula. Like, the formula works well, the shades are nice. I just have dupes for all of the shades that I like in here, and I don't find this color story to be the most inspiring. I'm someone who has no problem using a couple of eyeshadow palettes when I do my makeup. In fact, I like it that way. I don't mind building my own color stories as I go, but I will say I really don't find this palette to be very inspiring. I find the color story to be a little eclectic to me. It doesn't really make sense. It's kind of just a random colorful palette, so I just, I don't really reach for it ever because it's not the most inspiring to me. Usually when I'm doing my eyeshadow, I'll start with like one palette and I'll get like some inspiration from the color story of that palette, and then I might say like, ooh, I think I want another color, and I'll reach for another palette to add on to that. But usually I want like one palette to like start my inspiration. Not all the time, but like sometimes I do. And like I said, I have dupes for all the shades that I like in here and more inspiring color stories. So for me, it just doesn't make sense to hold on to something that I never reach for, and I find the shimmers in here to be not that impressive. So for that reason, I am decluttering the Lady Boss palette. All right, Natasha Denona, I got a bone to pick with you, lady, because I spent $25 on this mini eyeshadow palette for my birthday last year, and I don't like it at all. I spent so much time trying to make this palette work because everyone just roars and raves about Natasha Denona's eyeshadow palettes, and this one, to me, is just an absolute dud. And to be fair, I have heard people say that the Tropic palette is like a one-off thing, and that it's not like the rest of her formula, and that that palette itself was a flop. So I'm not totally opposed to trying Natasha Denona in the future, but it was just a bummer that the first thing I ever bought from her did not turn out well. So that was a bit of a bummer. And everyone keeps telling me that you can poke out the shades on the back, but not on this mini palette. Look, there's no holes on it. So that's kind of stinks too. I don't know, I just feel like for $25 I could have got so much indie makeup eyeshadow. I could have gotten multiple multi-chromes. Just kind of a makeup regret of mine, because none of the shades really worked all that well. The mattes don't blend well at all on me. The metallic-y shades are just okay, like they're not all that impactful. I have much prettier metallic shades. This shade is pretty. The shade on the end is like a nice kind of seafoam green shimmer, but it's okay. Like, it's pretty, but it's not exceptional by any means. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the way I figure out whether or not I really want to declutter makeup is just by putting it in a pile out of sight for a couple months. And if I don't think about it that whole time, then it's probably pretty fair to assume that I don't like it all that much. So this has been sitting in a pile for me for a long time. This has actually probably been in a pile since before I moved. When I packed up all my makeup to move, I put this in a separate container, and then I never took it out again. So clearly she's not very well missed. And yeah, I feel totally fine decluttering the Natasha Denona mini Tropic palette. Let me know if any of her other mini palettes are better. Is it the mini palettes that aren't as good as the regular palettes, or is it just the Tropic palette? Natasha Denona heads, please let me know. Sorry I called you Natasha Denona heads. I didn't want to call you stans. I don't think we should stan corporations, but please do let me know if there's any mini palettes that are better, because I sure as heck don't have the money to buy a big one right now, but I would try a little one. Okay, we're decluttering this. All right, and the last eyeshadow palette that I'm decluttering is the Baby Girl palette from Estate Cosmetics. There's nothing wrong with this formula. It's fine. The mattes actually blend really, really nicely. The shimmers are just not that impactful, except for this one shade, Exclusive. This is like the prettiest frosty white shade. It's so nice. I can definitely see myself using this on like some early 2000s looks because it's super frosty, but the rest of it I don't feel the need to depot anything from, because like I said, the shimmers are just not all that impressive. They're more satiny than shimmery in my opinion, and the mattes are pretty, but I don't reach for mattes like this anytime, like just kind of mauve-y neutrals aren't really my thing. Neutrals aren't really my thing anyways, but especially not mauve-y neutrals like this. More of a warm tone gal if I am gonna do neutrals, so it's just not anything I'm reaching for. So I'm definitely gonna reach out to a friend and see if they want to use this and might get more use out of this than me, because like I said, the formula is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with this. I just don't ever reach for it, and I don't get any use out of it, so there's no need to keep it in my makeup collection. I'm trying so hard not to get eyeshadow on my new shirt. I swatched things all over my hand. I actually wiped my hand on the bottom of my thigh. I don't know why I did that, but I'm trying trying really hard not to get everything everywhere. Oh my gosh, and I'm not used to wearing rings. They keep touching my rings. Anyway, the last item that I'm decluttering today, can you tell what it is? Probably not. It's the NYX Gotcha Covered Concealer Stick. I threw this in my Amazon cart like 6 months, maybe more ago, because I was looking for a concealer to replace my NYX Conceal Correct Contour palette. Well, not necessarily to replace my NYX Conceal Correct Contour palette, because if you're not new to my channel, you know that this is my son. I love this palette. It's so good. It's such a nice creamy formula. I love it so much. But the big bummer about this palette is that you don't get a lot of product in each individual pan, and I used up the lightest shade really quickly, and I loved the lightest shade. So I was looking to see if NYX sold any individual versions of these, and it looks like they did at a point, but they're really hard to find. Maybe not these specific shades, but they used to have an individual pot of cream concealer, but now it's like impossible to find. So when I saw they had a concealer stick, I thought maybe, you know, cream concealer in stick form, it could be as creamy as my NYX Conceal Correct Contour palette, but it wasn't. It was too good to be true. This is very dry and very scratchy and just makes my under eyes look dry. Do you guys make the same assumption that if something comes in stick form, it's just gonna be creamy? I know that's not necessarily true, but in my head, I'm like, yes, it's in a stick, it's gonna be creamy, it's gonna be great for my dry skin, but this is not great for my dry skin, and I just have not been using it at all. I definitely got this idea in my head for a while that creams were for dry skin and liquids for oily skin, and I couldn't really cross that line, but recently I've been trying the First Aid Beauty Bendy Avocado Concealer, which is a liquid, and it's awesome. I have it on my under eyes today. Oh my gosh, look how hydrated they look, and it's a really good concealer, so I feel like this just works much better than this, so I am happy to be decluttering my NYX Gotcha Covered Concealer Stick. Alrighty, and that is all of the makeup that I'm going to be decluttering today. Like I said, you know, I like to do my makeup declutters in little portions, little piles, little bits and pieces. So I'm definitely going to continue to throw makeup that I'm not using into a pile, and whenever my pile builds up, I will share it with you. I think that's more fun, you know, rather than doing like one huge, massive, outrageous declutter of my whole collection every year. I do like little baby declutters throughout the year. Although to be honest, this is not a little baby. This is like a, I don't want to compare this to a child, so I won't compare it to a child. But this sure as heck isn't a little baby, so I feel good about this declutter today. I'm excited to make some room in my makeup collection for more new makeup. Very exciting stuff. But I thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. That really helps my channel like way more than you even know, or you probably know. You know, you're smart, but it helps my channel quite a bit. It tells YouTube to recommend it to other people, which is great. We can get more subscribers. I have 3,000 subscribers right now. Imagine if one day I had like, I don't know, 1 million. I don't know. That could be fine. That could be fine. I'd be perfectly fine with that. So definitely give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Tell all your friends to come hang out with us. That would be so fun. I would love to hang out with you and your friends. Man, I'm really rambly today, aren't I? Thank you guys for watching this video. Check out my description box for all of the makeup on my face today. Also in my description box, I will have a bunch of Black Lives Matter resources to support the Asian American community, and resources to support the LGBTQ+ community. So please click on those links if you haven't yet. And I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. I'm gonna be doing finger guns until I see you next time. Alright, bye.